All right, so two historic cities here. You have Bisbee, Arizona, and you have the famous Tombstone, Arizona, depicted in these two pictures. Now, in Bisbee, Arizona, I never had a paranormal experience, unfortunately. However, I will say this. I went to a gallery session, which is basically kind of like a seance. Uh, I'd say maybe a month or two ago, and the medium said I had some type of past life and I used to live in Bisbee, apparently, or a town that looked like Bisbee, which could be true because I do have family on the East Coast and I have family out from Italy. A lot of the East Coast towns, however, the mining towns look almost like Bisbee. That's kind of the charm that I see in Bisbee. It kind of has that, I guess, architecture that you would see like in a mountain town or a mining town out east. So, I kind of buy that. There was other things that the medium had said that I don't know, kind of out there. Some of it was true. Some of it was almost on the dot. So it's like, I don't know what to think of that. But I can tell you this. When I'm in Bisbee, there's just something about it that always draws me back, always makes me want to visit everything there. Whether it's a tourist trap now or not, I'll give you an example about how it's a tourist trap. So there's those lamps, right? Those like Turkish lamps. You can get them on Amazon for about $40. In their shop, the same one was like 80 or $90, right? So it's like, yeah, it's a full-on tourist town. You're gonna spend money when you're there. Uh, but it's interesting and it has great people there. Uh, the the historic spots, unfortunately, I don't have really a ghost encounter. Uh, I've stayed at the Copper Queen. Nothing happened there. And then went to the Oliver House on the Bisbee Ghost Tour. Didn't really feel anything. Went to the speakeasy that they have over there. I think it's called 27 Souls or 20, might be 26 Souls. Which is just a small bar. It was a really quaint little bar. No experience there. When I used to go to the bars on the strip, I used to go to the stock exchange when it was open. I used to go to the St. Elmo's was the main spot, and then there was another one called Club Kilimanjaro, which was I think it was on the other side. It never felt any type of activity. Uh, and then I used to love going to their New Year's Eve shows or events. They used to be where you go because that was the most exciting. And it was free. You just had to find a parking spot, so you got there early. They had like fire breathers. They had people walking down the streets. There was a whole bunch of activities. Uh, and then at the end of the night, they had these acrobats at the city park. They were up on a line or something, and that's how they did their countdown or whatever. I don't know if they still do that or not, but yeah, the quaint little city. Got to go back to it not too long ago and do their again do their ghost tour, uh, do the mine tour, uh, explore the city. There's two spots that might be haunted. It's the former I forgot what they call it, but it's basically it used to be a hotel for horses. We used to put the horses upstairs and the carriages downstairs. I forgot what you call that. was a livery or something like that. It's now a gift shop. It was cool. It wasn't haunted. The other one though, which is purportedly haunted, I did feel something in the basement of that bank vault. It used to be a former bank, I believe. Uh, Now it's a gift shop, and it was interesting, but I don't know whether what I felt was spiritual or not. So the second thing, or I guess the second town, I should say, I'll be talking about is Tombstone. Tombstone is a another mining town, this time silver. I forgot to mention that Bisbee is a copper mine town. And what Tombstone's famous for is the OK Corral gunfight. It never happened there. It literally happened literally on the highway, I guess you could say, of Tombstone, right across from CS Flies, I believe. But don't quote me on that. Uh, and everybody loves the wider, uh, Doc Holliday, stuff like that. The more interesting brother is Virgil Earp. If you ever research these gentlemen, research Virgil Earp. He had more of a law career, longer law career than Wyatt Earp ever had. Interesting too. But I digress. The first, I guess, ghost tour I did was a Birdcage Theater. It was a letdown. About first 2 hours was, I think it was 3 hours, if I'm not mistaken. I've already forgotten about it, but first 2 hours was history, which is fine. But I was there for the ghosts. In the last hour, they shut off the light, and because they don't want you to break anything, we had to sit in chairs. I happened to sit in an interesting spot because I had just gotten off of doing a trip to some national parks. So the tour guide decides to use a ghost app, Necrophonic. Apparently, it's highly coveted by, or not coveted, but highly reviewed by some ghost hunters. That's why they use it. So it was kind of a letdown, and then you had that one person that said, "Oh, I feel something on my right side" or something like that, and it was kind of one of those things. But when they turned on the lights, I didn't know where my position was. I had moved my chair in the middle of the night, or in the middle of the night, or middle of that, I guess, that ghost hunt, quote unquote, right? So they turn on the lights, and all of a sudden I see, uh, as I'm putting the chair back, I see that I had my back turned the whole time. Right behind me was Geronimo's picture, a couple of portraits of Geronimo, I believe, and then there was like a random picture of an old Wyatt Earp. And I said, that's funny because that same week, literally, I went to Chiricahua, and Geronimo most likely was there because that is where his tribe is. So it's interesting that that happened. I don't know if that was paranormal or not. Here's the juicier one. This is my third ghost hunting thing, right? Ghost tour in Tombstone. The second one was U.S. Ghost Adventures. I do not recommend them for anything. Do not spend your money with them. Uh, the tour guides are great. Don't get me wrong, but um, it's commercialized. They get some of the information wrong, and they focus on the cliche of things, right? So the third one was like he was a historian. He calls himself a historian, and he probably is actually. He was a really good tour guide. Boring, like he had a boring voice, but the stuff that was coming out of his mouth, I was actually interested in because what he did was he took us to the other side of Tombstone, the Tombstone that never gets talked about, and that is what happened to Tombstone after the silver mines ran out. Uh, the attempt to restart it, and then how Tombstone almost died. Like it just almost went kaput. The only people, or one of the few people to still believe in Tombstone, were the original owners of the Birdcage Birdcage Theater. Uh, the rest of them had split. They sold all their stuff and they split. That's to include Crystal Palace, and that's to include the Oriental Saloon. So I thought that was really cool. The other thing he told us about was the Chinatown that Tombstone had. It got all torn down to build housing. Those were historic buildings. They tore them down and built housing. There's only uh, one business that kind of tips its hat to the China district, and I forgot what it was called, but uh, it's a shame. It's a lost history. A lot of the Chinese workers were responsible in building, the Crystal Palace and Oriental Saloon. Um, so that's a shame. Then he takes us to the courthouse, tells us about the Bisbee massacre. Uh, Basically, there was a gang. They went and I guess robbed some stores in Bisbee. The perpetrators were sent over to the Tombstone courthouse, which had a jail at the time, I believe. I'm just going to be quick on this because the video is kind of going a little bit long here. So basically, they hang this guy. Bisbee hangs this guy. It's a big publicity nightmare for Tombstone because Tombstone is trying to say, "Hey, we're not like the Wild West anymore." And here you go. You have basically what is a mob lynching. And it's not even done by Tombstone residents. It's done by Bisbee residents. In that time, uh, we had little temp guns that he loaned us, and we beamed it over to the gallows. And he says one of the things here at the courthouse is that they say that that there's an anomaly with the gallows being uh, a lower temperature, and it was, but again, I don't know because it was 44, 50 degrees down there. It was during the winter. Maybe wood cools down in the winter. I don't know, or it might be the type of wood. So I had a skeptical thing on that, and then he tells us stories about what happens in the courthouse, how workers feel something there, or they have stuff happen to them there. What's funny and what's interesting is that I saw this, like, I don't know, it was like a flash. It was a person that was illuminated by like this. It was almost like a spectral ghost that I saw, and he would, as we were walking away, I believe it was when we were walking away, that's when I saw him, and it's right where, because they have a historical marker of where the guy got hanged. It was right where he got hanged, which I thought was just insane. And so this guy's wrapping up the tour. We go back on the main drag, and I see another thing. Behind him, over his shoulder, I see three cowboys, or Western looking dudes, but cowboys, right? I'm thinking these people drunk. It might be a drunk, and I might see them somewhere, running or something, right? Nope. Uh, saw three disembodied heads. Didn't see their bodies, so that ghost tour was well worth the money. It was the cheapest one, and it was well worth the money. But yeah, those are my tales of Bisbee and Tombstone. Not much paranormal, but you guys ought to check out these two towns if you haven't. They are really interesting. All right, y'all have a good day.